That New York skyline, there isn't quite anything like it, is there? It's just an amazing sight every time you see it. So here we're departing on the Circle Line cruises. That's located just north of the Hudson Yard district. Here's a view of the western side of 30 Hudson Yards. That's a view of the George Washington Bridge. So we're looking north here. $44 toll to go over that bridge with the van. $16 for passenger cars. It's only the 7th tallest building in New York City now, but I don't think quite anything symbolizes New York better than the Empire State Building. Except for, of course, maybe the Statue of Liberty. But Empire State Building is easily my favorite building. Here's a look at Water Soul. This is on the New Jersey shoreline, and I don't think New Yorkers were very receptive when this statue was unveiled. Here's a look at One World Trade Center, also a fantastic looking building, and that's obviously the tallest building in America. Here's the New Jersey Rail Terminal building. This is Ellis Island, and the entrance is over where you see that riverboat, and the boat I was on didn't quite pass in front of it, so I couldn't get a shot. And then we have Lady Liberty herself, and I don't want to diss the Statue of Liberty, maybe the most famous statue in the world, one of the most famous statues in the world for sure. It is a little bit smaller in person. I knew the base made up a large part of the total height. However, it is still amazing to see in person. And I don't know if they recently cleaned it or something, but I remembered it was quite a bit brighter than what it appeared to be in movies and everything. But as you know, this is famously a gift from the French, and the official name is Liberty Enlighten the World, and it welcomes visitors to our country. And just a fantastic symbol of America, and also played a big role in Ghostbusters 2, or Ghostbusters Part 2, I should say. The boat ride really did not linger around the statue. I mean, they almost immediately started turning around when they got down there to it. Here's a great look at the financial district in Lower Manhattan. And now we're heading north up the Hudson River. So this was the Statue of Liberty Express, and on this day I was going to cram in 3 attractions, and so that's why I opted for just a short trip. People told me that if you actually go to Liberty Island and Ellis Island, that can kind of take up your whole day, and on another trip I would probably go and do that. But on this day I kind of wanted to, cram in these sites. So if you want to you know, if you're short on time and need to get a quick view of the Statue of Liberty, I would recommend it. They have other cruises, New York City at night, and that would be definitely something I wanted to explore at another time. This structure here is known as the Vessel, and I guess there's a bunch of staircases you can go up. It was featured prominently in the series Westworld in either the 3rd or 4th season, maybe the 4th season. So from there, headed back on over to top of the rock at 30 Rock. And we'll take a look at a fantastic view of Central Park. It's kind of got obscured by these super tall residential buildings that have popped up in the last few years. That's a look at 111 West 57th. I believe that's the NASA's reservoir there. You get a fantastic view. 30 Rock is, I think it's a mile or two north of the Empire State Building. So if you want a view of Central Park, you need to go to 30 Rock. If you want a view south of that, then I would go to the Empire State Building. Here's a look at the Sony Tower. I remember that from the Spider-Man games. There's the Spider-Man PS2 game. We're looking east here. Looking at 1 Vanderbilt. That's a big building, and I think it was built in the last 10 years. There's some party going on there. And here we're looking south. You get a great view of the Empire State Building. So to the left you have 1 Vanderbilt, then you have Empire State, Bank of America Tower, and then you have the Condé Nast Building to the far right. And then in the far distance you can see 1 World Trade. But man, I just love that Empire State Building. There's Bank of America Tower. Here's the Condé Nast Building, also known as 4 Times Square. And here we have the Intrepid from last week's episode. After leaving 30 Rock, I headed up to Central Park, and they have a roundabout that's called Columbus Circle. I think it's pretty famous. That's what you're looking at here. And I really had to book it because I had a timed entry with the American Museum of Natural History. Here's a look at the lobby. Similar to Washington, D.C., I believe this museum is quite a bit bigger, but you're basically going to look at a lot of fossils and a lot of stuffed animals. They're great to see in person, don't get me wrong. And between the two, I think I'd have to go to the Smithsonian because it's free. However, this is a very nice museum. Don't get me wrong, it's very nice. And then we'll head over to the dinosaur wing. And we have the T-Rex. This T-Rex is about 45% real fossils, and from what I've read, it was the model for the logo to Jurassic Park. It's 35, 40 feet long, something like that, just a massive predator. And particularly with this museum, I think you got a better sense for how big the dinosaurs were. I don't know if it was how they posed them or whatever, but I definitely felt like you got a better sense of just how big they were. That's a brontosaurus. And they had a bunch of prehistoric sea animals also. Here's some pterodactyls. Stegosaurus. A nice display of the time period while the dinosaurs lived. And here's the Titanosaur. It's 100 and I believe 22 feet long. It can't even fit in the entire room. Its head pokes out. That's just a massive fossil to see in person. So after that, I headed on out to Central Park. I wanted to check out Belvedere Castle, which I didn't know existed until I saw it in the Smurfs movie. But yeah, it's like a little castle, and you can kind of look around. Another thing that struck me walking around Central Park were that they'd have these big rocks. And also they would have busts and statues, just really nice statues throughout the park. Heading south, I came across Strawberry Fields, which is a memorial for John Lennon. He was murdered just across the street from where that memorial was. He lived at a building, it's called the Dakota, very famous building. There were a lot of people gathered there, and there was a lady, she was really talented, was playing Beatles songs and everything. Very sad that his life got cut so short. So from here, I was basically out of time on this trip and made my way back through Times Square because I realized I hadn't passed by the NASDAQ. And as a stock trader, you know, I got to check that out. Took the PATH train back across the river and took one last look at the New York skyline before heading out.